Once upon a time, at Indochina High, there was a teacher's lounge that the Vietnamese teacher had all to himself. Then, a French language teacher started using it and declared it his own. A Japanese language teacher then marches into the lounge and takes it over. He allows the French teacher to have some power as long as he does what he says. The Japanese teacher suddenly realized he forgot to give a test to his class. He quickly runs out and abandons the lounge, but the Vietnamese teacher is secretly hiding under a table, plotting a way to overthrow the French teacher. The French teacher is severely weakened due to the Japanese teacher overworking him. The Vietnamese teacher rises from the shadows and declares the lounge for himself. Some of the school believes that the lounge rightfully belongs to the French teacher, even though it originally belonged to the Vietnamese teacher. Since the French teacher is tired, the English language teacher sends student protesters to the left side of the lounge, and the Chinese language teacher sends them to the right. The Vietnamese teacher is subdued by the French teacher. However, the Russian language teacher still thinks that it is the Vietnamese teacher's property. She joins the Vietnamese teacher's side and sends student protesters along with the Chinese teacher, who decided that the lounge belongs to the Vietnamese teacher. The U.S. history teacher gives some lunch money to the French teacher so he can keep his energy up with a sandwich while he deals with the Russian teacher and the Vietnamese teacher. The French teacher gets a cramp after eating the sandwich, so he loses an argument with the Russian teacher and the Vietnamese teacher. He's forced to leave the lounge. Some student teachers that chill in the lounge with the Russian teacher and the Vietnamese teacher are forced to live on the left side, while the Russian teacher and the Vietnamese teacher are on the right. Plans were made to unite them, but they don't work out. The Teach-It Tong, a group of the Vietnamese teacher students, is formed with the idea of uniting everyone against Nathan Dan Denny, the head of the student teachers. The U.S. history teacher is discontent with Nathan's leadership skills. They get him fired and he is taken out of power. The right side then arms the Teach-It Tong with knowledge. The right side sends the Teach-It Tong to have a debate with the U.S. history teacher. The U.S. history teacher dodges the metaphorical attacks and counters with strong arguments against the right side's policies. The U.S. history teacher starts to hold many more debates throughout the lounge because the student teachers are helpless on their own. On New Year's Day, the Teach-It Tong starts an argument with the student teachers. The old vending machine on the right side is almost completely destroyed in retaliation by the U.S. history teacher. Due to low test scores in the offensive, the U.S. history teacher slowly leaves the office. The U.S. history teacher tries to equip the student teachers with more knowledge. When the U.S. history teacher was almost at the door, a final attack is staged by the Teach-It Tong. A cease test is eventually arranged, and the U.S. history teacher leaves, leaving the student teachers alone. All the student teachers are kicked out by the Russian teacher and the Vietnamese teacher, and the lounge is now a haven for the right side's forces. The students are allowed to say what they think about lounge warfare from then on. Suspicion of teaching policies rises, and student enthusiasm decreases. Lunch prices rise due to the debacle's costs. The students remain deeply divided over what it means. Was it the right side being selfish, or wanting some quiet thinking space?